Coming up on today's Minnesota Sports Rankum, Kirk Cousins' top 5 throws as a Vikings quarterback.
This is Minnesota Sports Rankum, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota, and it starts now.
It's the show that settles debates and starts new ones. Minnesota Sports Rankum on Locked On Sports Minnesota. A new list every Thursday with myself, Sam Ekstrom, at Sam Ekstrom on Twitter. Find me on the Ron Johnson Show and the Minnesota Football Party as well. And Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman on Twitter /X. He writes the NFL Draft Buzz newsletter for the Locked On Podcast Network. Luke Inman, today's prompt, Kirk Cousins' top 5 throws as a Viking. We could tally up the total. I'm guessing he's thrown about 2,000 balls, 2,500 balls for the Vikings in the last 5 years. A lot to choose from. I wanted us to narrow it down to 5. No easy task today.
No, quite difficult. And don't get me wrong, Sam. I'm jacked to go over some of these Kirk Cousins throws with you, but there's a part of me that just wants to rip this out so we can get you back out to TCO for joint practice number 2, just so you can be my eyes and ears again today. So let's get after it, man. Yeah, let's do it. I need more reports on Ryan Wright booming 93-yard punts. That's what I need in my life.
That was stupid, just in the best way possible. That was crazy. 2,770. That's the number of throws Kirk Cousins has as a Vikings quarterback. Today's show brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook partner of Locked On. Make every moment more. FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. And you can find all of our programming on YouTube for free. Subscribe to the Locked On Sports Minnesota channel. Comment, please. Let us know what you think about the list and which throws we forgot, because inevitably we're going to leave some of your favorites off the list. Also find us free and available on audio wherever you get your podcasts. We're partners with SiriusXM as well. So many ways to watch and listen. It's customary, Luke, for us to start with number 5, and that's your department. Luke, take it away.
Yeah, let me just preface with a list like this, so many throws to choose from. You already mentioned that, almost 3,000. So for me to help narrow it down, here's my little criteria protocol I was looking for. 1, difficulty of the actual throw, not the catch, but the throw itself. B, the magnitude of the game, the situation, what was on the line. And then 3, just how much actual pressure was in his face, because it's one thing to do this from a clean pocket, whole different ball game, Sam, when you got defensive linemen in your face, which is obviously far more difficult and impressive. So keeping all that in mind, number 5 on my list, November 17th, 2019, it's at the bank, Vikes Broncos, down 20-0 at halftime. This team, it's showing no signs of life here, Sam, but here comes Kirk battling back, now down 10 minutes left. Got to have a score here. Cousins comes out of the shotgun, little play action to Dalvin. He rolls 8 yards to his left. And as a righty, Sam, this is so tough for a quarterback with pressure now barreling down on you to square your shoulders back up and reset your feet, get your mechanics clean. He delivers an absolute bullet to Stephon Diggs just over the defender's hands, in stride, no less, 50 yards downfield for the score that gets them within 3. They go on. He hooks up with Rudy on the next drive. That would be the game winner on a 32-yard pitch and catch. That was the origin, though, Sam, if you remember, the first monster Kirk Cousins comeback in Minnesota. And, of course, it spawned the infamous meme of him on the sideline sipping the Gatorade with that graphic at the bottom that just read, teams trailing 20-0 at halftime. Yeah, they're 0-99. That would turn out to be one of the first of many iconic moments for Cousins, and just another meme to add to his collection. The comeback versus Denver, 2018, Cousins to Diggs. Off-platform, by the way. Go check that out. That's number 5 on my list.
Yeah, the off-platform ones are interesting. A couple make their way onto my list. Now, a couple themes developed for me. Number 1, that guy made a lot of throws in the 2019 season. Like, a lot of throws. Number 2, a lot of his biggest moments are on the road. Now, you astutely picked out a really good home performance. Got a lot of road games on mine, man. Number 5, let's go to a high-leverage moment. Quality throw by Kirk Cousins when the Vikings needed it most. 2019 playoffs overtime. Adam Thielen on the field. He is singled up against Patrick Robinson. Now, Patrick Robinson was not supposed to be covering him. Marshawn Lattimore exited, I think, 1 or 2 plays earlier. So Kirk Cousins, he's thinking in there. He says, I've got a favorable matchup with a backup cornerback. I'm going to get this ball to Adam Thielen. Thielen runs a post. Kirk Cousins, well protected on this play. Didn't have to deal with too much pressure, but he delivers about a 50-yard ball right in the breadbasket to Adam Thielen in a playoff overtime situation, a hostile environment in New Orleans, puts it right on him, gets down inside the 5. Vikings win it 3 plays later in OT on another good throw, by the way, to Kyle Rudolph. But Troy Aikman in the broadcast even says it. That's the best throw of his career right there. For what's on the line, that was astounding. So Cousins delivering that throw when the Vikings had squandered a 10-point lead in a playoff game. And again, he hadn't really shed the label of not being a clutch quarterback yet. We were still wondering, could he actually do this in a big game? And he did. That's my number 5 throw.
Love it. You may see that one on my list coming up here in a little bit here, Sam. Number 4 on my list, to London we go. Vikes Saints tied up at 25. $1:38 left on the clock. Vikes all the way back at their own 30-yard line. I wish we could show the tape of some of these, by the way, Sam, because just describing them just doesn't do it justice.
Can you draw a picture? Do you have like a whiteboard maybe?
I don't.
X's and O's?
You don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. I digress. Cousins in shotgun. JJ at the top of your screen snaps the ball. It's just a quick little 3-step drop, Sam. It's not like he's got 7 steps back here and winds up and just throws an absolute cannon 60 yards down. It's the touch on this one. It's the accuracy, the way this ball, still to this day, it wows me. It makes my jaw drop. It's the perfect throw. He puts this ball, Sam, in JJ's hands in stride with pinpoint accuracy, 40 yards downfield, even with Marshawn Lattimore draped all over him, one of the best DBs in the game. And it's almost as if he ran over to him and just placed the ball right in his hands. That's how perfect this throw was in stride. And again, it was clutch, game on the line, got to have it, but so perfect when it comes to ball placement. And again, the quarterback doing all the work on this one. In fact, JJ, again, he didn't even have to move. He didn't have to adjust whatsoever. All he had to do, gain a half step on his guy, and then reach his hands out. Boom, there it was. That throw was the catalyst to go up 28-25, and eventually they held off the Saints on that dramatic double doink to win it. Cousins to JJ right in the breadbasket in London. That's number 4 on my list.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins and JJ have some kind of special connection downfield. And there was an article recently by Matthew Collar that highlighted some analytics from Reception Perception that said that Kirk Cousins was 91% accurate last year on corner routes thrown to Justin Jefferson. He just knows how to fit it into those tight windows. Really good stuff. Number 4 for me, back to 2019, another big road game. This is just the one throw that stands out for me of all Kirk Cousins throws. It's the unlikeliest. A jump throw off platform at Dallas. Sunday Night Football, Week 9, 2019. Vikings go into Dallas. First drive of the game. Vikings trying to get the jump on the Cowboys. Inside the 10-yard line, Cousins rolls left, surveying the field, looking, looks like there's nothing there. He jumps, twists, and puts one into the back of the end zone where only Kyle Rudolph can catch it. He snares a one-handed ball. Was this a pretty bullet throw? No. Was this like a tight window throw? A little bit, but more so he just needed to put it into an area. But you don't see Kirk Cousins execute a jump throw ever. And he did this one rolling out of the pocket. You never see him make plays out of the pocket. Throwing across his body. You never see him throw up like against the grain like that. And yet he pulled it off on this particular play. So a jump throw to Rudolph? What? Number 4 on my list.
Great shout out. Was that the Halloween game, if I remember correctly? Cooper Rush?
It had to. No, so this was.
Not the Cooper Rush Cowboys at Dallas primetime.
This was Dak. This was against Dak. Vikings won the game. 28-24. Jaron Kearse sealed it with a pick on a Hail Mary at the very end. Eric Kendricks had a key pass breakup on 4th and 1 late in the game. That was a good result for the Vikings that day.
Yeah, way to do your digging. That's a great call out. And I'm going to have to go back and check out the highlights of that one for sure. And again, just to reiterate, this is so tough here, Sam, because you go back, you pull up on YouTube. All right, here's 15 minutes of Kirk Cousins highlights. But so many of these highlight reel pitch and catches, you go through, you sit there and you're like, okay, that was amazing. What a splash play. That's going to go on the highlight reel for the rest of the time. But how much of that play was JJ just making a circus catch, being a freak, or Stephon Diggs from a few years ago making a sick play? So again, I'm looking for throws that Cousins specifically turn nothing into something with his arm alone. And it wouldn't have mattered if it was JJ or a third stringer, Josh Doxson, Aldrick Robinson, because the throw was so good. So number 3 on my list, week 9 last year, Vikes on the road at FedEx Field. This was a play that gained Kirk a ton of popularity just nationally on that Netflix doc after people kind of finally realized the guts it takes to stand in the pocket, by the way, and deliver a BB right in JJ's hands, in stride no less, with once again a defender all over him and the game on the line. But the big storyline on that throw was this guy's getting absolute steamrolled by Daron Payne, a 300-pound all-pro D tackle that would ultimately, that hit would have serious long-term effects on him physically the rest of the year. So let me set the stage again. Fourth quarter, 12 minutes left. You're down 17-7, Sam. The offense has done nothing since the opening drive. We got to get cooking here. We got to put a drive together like right now because time's running out. Vikes at their own 40-yard line. 5 wide receivers set. They split out the defense. Kirk drops back. He's got no more than, I swear, 2.2 seconds at most, Sam, before he's getting clobbered. But as he's getting hit, as he's getting hit in the ribs, okay, like, all right, he's going to explode my ribs here in about a half a second. But he still delivers the perfect ball. Once again, very similar to the London throw, my number 4 on my list, up the sideline, sticky coverage on JJ, but it's an absolute dime, in stride. JJ, no need for adjustment or to go up and get it whatsoever. That was the big play they needed to spark the eventual comeback with that 47-yard strike. And again, a play that would just kind of show how tough Kirk Cousins really is after getting his ribs busted up. He had to take the next play off, but still finding a way to deliver the perfect, and I mean perfect pass 50 yards downfield against his old team, mind you. Gotta love it. Number 3 on my list.
Fantastic one. We're at the halfway point. That means we tell you about FanDuel Sportsbook and the new promotion they have going on right now at FanDuel. Football season's here. Preseason is in full swing. Regular season around the corner. You've got time to bet on a Super Bowl winner. Vikings 35-1. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2, you sit back and watch them win throughout the regular season. And every time that team wins that you bet on, you get bonus bets back in your account. Pick any team to win the Super Bowl. Bonus bets back for every victory. So if the Vikes win 13 again, you get 13 bonus bets throughout the year. And you can put that on so many different wagers on the NFL or otherwise. Spreads, player props, over-unders, maybe find a juicy parlay that you like on the NFL. FanDuel.com/lockedon is the website to visit. FanDuel.com/lockedon and download that FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's America's #1 sportsbook for a reason, people. Great promotions like this going on all the time. FanDuel, make every moment more. We can't go a show, Luke, without duplicating each other's answers.
Gotta have one. Once. Gotta have one.
And my number 3 is your number 3. It's the Kirk Cousins throw at Washington. I tracked his air yards, Luke. You get into the air yards because I paused it. I said, okay, where did he throw this ball from?
Right.
And where was it caught by JJ? 40-yard throw in the air. All his momentum going backward, right? Because he's got Daron Payne bearing down. And by the way,
laying the pain.
Ed Ingram, what are you doing? I mean, he was a turnstile on this play. Interior pressure got there in an instant. I don't know.
The bigger question is, how did JJ get 40 yards downfield in 2 seconds?
Yeah.
2 seconds.
How does he cover that much ground? But again, the Netflix documentary gives this new life. I don't know if it's on my list without the doc, knowing the full context of Kirk absorbing the blow, getting injured, and then basically telling the trainer, it hurt. That's what they get for being in single coverage, right?
Right.
And he knew, like, okay, I'm going to take a beating, but JJ's going to be all alone out there. Threw it up to him, made the catch, and look at what that precipitated. A fourth quarter comeback from 10 points down. You had that play. You had the Dalvin Cook one-handed catch in the end zone. You had TJ Hawkinson's debut. Like, that became a very memorable, overshadowed game last year because you had the Colts, you had the Bills. Everybody talks about those games, but Washington, the fourth quarter comeback, wasn't too shabby either. So the throw by Cousins there, fantastic. A good number 3.
Love it. Good minds think alike. Number 2 on my list, 2018. Kirk's first year in purple and only his second game ever in a Vikings uni, by the way. It's week 2. You're in your biggest rival's backyard, Lambeau Field. You're down 8, 37 seconds left. You're at the 22-yard line. Shotgun set. Cook in the backfield. Cousins hikes the ball. Faces immediate pressure. That's a common theme on this list, by the way. But before he gets absolutely blasted to the turf, he gets off an absolute dart, right sideline, bottom of your screen. Who is it? It's Adam Thielen at the pylon. And to this day, Sam, I still don't know how it threaded in between not one, but 2 Packer defenders, hits number 19 right in between the numbers for a touchdown to eventually tie it up. Dude, simple physics tells you that this throw is impossible. Next Gen Stats said this had less than a 2% chance of being completed. You got a cornerback draped all over him. You got a safety screaming over the top right in the throwing lane, no less. And somehow, some way, despite the fact, again, he couldn't even step into this throw. He had 0 follow through because he got clotheslined right in his midsection, just trying to get it out. He delivers arguably the craziest pass I've ever seen when it comes to just simple throwing lanes and threading the needle. And it was only magnified, of course, by the situation. You need a touchdown. We've got just seconds left on the clock. Maybe enough time for 2, maybe 3 plays here. The fans who bleed, Sam, and are listening at home, they can picture it. They know what I'm talking about. I promise you that. They remember this throw specifically. But if you don't remember, do yourself a favor. Go pull this one up on YouTube right now. Tell me Kirk Cousins, he isn't some sort of wizard or magician from Sam's favorite movie, The Prestige. It's absolutely bonkers. And then if you remember, too, by the way, Kirk finds Diggs on that little 2-point conversion, that little inside-outside move. We all know the rest. Daniel Carlson misses multiple kicks to win it. He gets fired by Mike Zimmer the very next day. Womp, womp, womp. But Vikings pack, they tie this one 29-29, week 2, 2018. Absolutely wild, bananas game. And Kirk Cousins, again, just defying the laws of physics. That comes in at number 2 on my list.
Yeah, after that game, could anyone have been down on Kirk Cousins, right? Like, think about the first 2 games of his career. That was his peak in popularity in Minnesota. People were so high on Kirk Cousins. Oh my goodness, we tied the game, but look at the quarterback we have. And then Buffalo next week. We don't want to talk about that game. Man. Number 2 for me. This is, again, 2019. I think Kirk Cousins' best year for crazy throws. At Detroit, week 7. This is the Thielen injury. It's infamous for the injury part, but the throw was absurd. Cousins rolling left. Again, bad platform. When you start looking at these plays, he makes a couple more kind of awkward, or not like an awkward stance, but good throws than you would expect. And he rolls out to the left hash mark, briefly settles himself, but really he's not balanced at all. Throws about 42 yards in the air. Just a bullet. It was like Brett Favre to Greg Lewis level bullet. Over an outstretched defensive back's hand. So he had to get it up somewhat high, but he hits Adam Thielen in stride on the back line of the end zone. Thielen with the catch, drags his feet. And then he was basically toast until the playoffs. He didn't really recover from that hamstring injury until playoff time, which, again, we talked about the catch he made in the playoffs. But that throw by Cousins, he doesn't do this a lot, where he rolls left, throws back across the grain, but he absolutely delivered a P to Adam Thielen in this 2019 game. So that's my number 2, Kirk Cousins, bad platform, touchdown Thielen.
I love it. Great call out. Gonna have to go back and watch that one again. My number one, it was your number 5. I couldn't believe you only had it at number 5 because it's not just the throw,
I know.
but you mentioned it. It's just what's on the line. The late game heroics, the magnitude of the situation. 2019, Vikes in the Superdome versus the Saints, wild card weekend. We're tied up. 2020, 12:40 left in overtime. Vikes win the toss. Cousins, you can see him on the sidelines, tying up his marching boots. Here we go. Drives his team down to midfield. 1st and 10 at the 45. Play action to Dalvin. Cousins drops back. You see the pressure. He feels this coming around the edge. He hits that back foot, steps up into the pocket, launches an absolute rainbow, drops right in the basket, right over Adam Thielen's right shoulder, over 2 defenders. You described it very well, painted a great picture. He's down at the 2-yard line. 3 plays later, hits Rudy, end zone fade, and Kirk Cousins wins his first playoff game in purple. But man, I'm telling you, you referenced it. Troy Aikman on the call saying this was his best throw of his entire career. And I think that was the throw that started to wake people up, started some real discussions that, you know what, maybe Kirk Cousins is in fact not only a top 10, top 12 quarterback in this league, but he's got far more clutch genes than people originally thought, just from a national perspective, after people finally got to watch him on a national televised game, make a game-winning throw like that. And that's why that one, it comes in at number 1 on my list, Sam.
Yeah. The clutch thing with Cousins, like, I think it really originated in 2018 because after that Packer game, there were some issues. The Rams, he didn't come through. The Bears late, the Seahawks and the Patriots, and obviously week 17 against Chicago. Like, the 2018 season was a little rough for Cousins, but from that point on, he's been very representative, I think, in big games, generally speaking. Still some stuff he can't do, stuff he hasn't done, but I think that the unclutch thing has been debunked at this point. Now, and one more point on that, I think it gets overshadowed because of the overtime throw, but there was another deep throw to Thielen earlier in that game. Maybe you came across it in the highlights where Cousins actually was getting crushed, and he faded one kind of down the right hash mark over Lattimore that Thielen caught. It was a sick throw. It wasn't as deep, but it was a really difficult throw that helped the Vikings, I think, score a touchdown earlier in the game. And then obviously he steps up in overtime, and that throw is the one we talk about. But a couple from that game that were really, really good. I'm recycling number 1. We already talked about it, but we're going to go back to it. It's the Packers throw, 2018, week 2. Dude, I can see in my mind's eye at any point during the day the triangle. So here's Darnell Savage. Here's Jair Alexander. They're coming together. Thielen is like he's laying back, right? So he's the bottom of the triangle, and Cousins fits it right into that.
The Bermuda Triangle, Sam.
Oh, and by the way, this is actual size. This is actual size.
Right.
The ball had to fit in that triangle.
Hey, next-gen stats, less than 2% chance this one's being completed. There's no way.
Yeah, getting clobbered, by the way, I mean, as he threw it. Right to the pylon, so he had the out-of-bounds line to contend with. This kind of reminds me of the JJ 4th and 18 in the sense that it required kind of a flub on the defender's part to make it occur. Like with JJ, he probably doesn't catch that unless the defender kind of like helps the ball down with his hands.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
And in this one, if it's just one-on-one with either of those defenders, they probably make the play, but they spooked each other. They they took their eyes off the ball because they were going to collide, and it allowed Thielen just to sit back and catch that ball. Great concentration on his part. But, and again, I keep raving about this 2019 season, like just that Packers game alone, he had the deep ball to Diggs earlier on.
Yes.
Where he had to get it over to defenders too. And
an
that
absolute
was
bomb.
That was a crazy throw. So I mean, yeah, like I had a hard time keeping that off the list. Did you have any other honorable mentions, Luke? Because I did almost put the overtime winner at Carolina to KJ Osborne.
I had that one as well. Yeah, the Detroit game winner against the Lions, right? Week 4. But again, I mean, there was a lot, Sam, that I wanted to put in there that ended up not coming on my list because it was like, okay, Stephon Diggs just ended up making a great catch there. I mean, don't get me wrong. The throw was really good too. But Diggs, man, I forgot after going back last night and watching all these highlights from Kirk Cousins' early Vikings days. Boy, as much as he's got a great connection with JJ, obviously, boy, him and Diggs had some serious chemistry going on those first 2 years as well. That was a lot of fun to go back and rewatch and relive there for a little bit. There's tons of them, Sam. We don't have enough time to go through them all. There's a laundry list of great Kirk Cousins highlight throws that if you haven't watched in a while, do yourself a favor. Go up on YouTube right after this video and go check them out.
I don't think either of us had a 2020 throw on our list either.
No, we didn't.
That must have been the pandemic year. Maybe it was maybe nothing was memorable because there were no fans. Also a bad year for the team. Let us know what we missed. Comment below on YouTube. What do we forget? We got 2,700 throws to choose from. We tried to narrow it down to 5. Let us know how we did in the comments section. He's Luke Inman. I'm Sam Ekstrom. We're going to head over to the Minnesota football party with Arif Hassan, Luke Braun, Ron Johnson. We're talking joint practices today with the Tennessee Titans. Full recap on the party. It's Locked On Sports Minnesota. It's Minnesota Sports Rankum. Thanks for watching today. Back next week with a new list.